Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantel Francis, and we have Jonathan joining us here today. And little did I know is that Jonathan has yet to watch the episode of All Stars 3, even though he said yes. So what we're going to do is a little bit different today. I will go through the episode, and I'm basically going to spoil him on the episode and see what his automatic reactions are to what went down, who it went down with, and have our conversation that way. So it will be a little bit different, but it will still be fun with all of our different opinions. But let's start off, Jonathan. What is your overall history with the challenge All-Stars? We have Sophie here that says, you got Jonathan on here, but not on the main challenge. Interesting. So what do you think about the challenge in general? Give us your history.
So I've pretty much watched every single, I'm like you, where I'm let's go back to the 90s, real world, road rules thereafter, and everything since. So I've watched everything. I'm very familiar with everyone and all of that stuff. But this is exciting. I haven't seen this today. So, live react, spoil it for me, tell me some things. I'm here to find out like the rest of you.
We could just watch the episode again.
It's your show.
What do you want? Do you want to watch the episode? That would be 45 minutes. I could watch the episode and we can pause it in between. This is fun.
Oh, and talk in between?
Okay. Yeah, we'll pause it and be like, and have commentary. Okay, let's just do that because
I have time, so we can do whatever you like.
That would take 45 minutes. 45. And it would be better, I think, just for the fact that having to oh wait, shit, can I do that on friggin' YouTube?
Oh,
well, we'll see what happens. Should I do it and maybe have it a small screen so that they won't be able to tell necessarily? And if I stop and start, maybe it won't be able to detect very quickly.
Yeah, I watch a lot of recap of shows that I cast for, and they show majority of the episode. And it's never flagged.
Yeah, I feel like you can do a certain amount of time, like 30 seconds or something. I don't know if this is actually going to work.
Whatever you want to do.
What do you guys suggest in the chat? What do you guys think that we should do here? Hi, Dan. Thank you for being here. Asking for a friend. Wait, sorry, what? Jonathan looks like born in the 90s. Yes, of course he's born in the 90s. Absolutely.
We'll go with that one. Yes. Yes. Early night. No, I wish I was born in the 90s.
Right? I'm like, I say, I'm born in 89.
I'm not even close.
Good evening. Okay, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do here. Just because YouTube is so finicky. But I guess the worst thing that they would do would give me a copyright strike. And it's 3 strikes, you're out.
I watch a lot of the recap stuff. It's not. It's cut together, but it's for when I do the Expanse and stuff like that, and it's never flagged. But totally up to you. Whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you want to do. I'm here to give my opinions, whether I've watched something or not.
I don't know. Sophie says that we should have talked about this before you come on. Well, I thought that when I asked him to recap All Stars 3 that he would have watched the episode. So this was news to me until right now.
It's very unedited, Sophie. It's very all over the place.
Well, I really actually don't know what makes most sense. Well, let's watch the beginning, maybe a little bit here. Because there's a lot of things that went down that are very interesting that I want your opinions on.
Yeah, just mention them. I know the people. I know what's happening. So.
Okay, so I'll just recap for you, just so I don't have to worry about YouTube getting mad at me. So we start off this episode with Ayanna and Nehemiah coming back into the house. They're celebrating, and they're kind of just really excited about the fact that they both won this elimination. How are you feeling about those two winning the eliminations last episode?
Nehemiah's a new person, I feel like. And so really interesting. I haven't seen him in a while, I feel like, but for myself, because I didn't watch season one. But yeah, I mean, I like someone who's going hard and wants to win it and is willing to almost do anything. So I like that kind of attitude towards it, and I feel like he definitely has that. So yeah, they came to play, and I mean, good for him.
So we see some confessionals from Sophia. Do you remember who Sophia is? Because I know that you didn't remember her necessarily from her original
No, I
season.
didn't.
And so she's really happy that she has a homegirl here in the challenge. So she's referring to Ayanna and just kind of being like, really proud that her friend was able to come back, and she was like floating and, really, really speaking highly of Ayanna. And we really did get to experience Ayanna kind of being seemingly selfless with her helping Leah at the end of the elimination. It was a pretty powerful moment, I thought. And so Sophia, in her confessional, is kind of telegraphing this a little bit. But then what happens is that we see, like, in the night vision camera, Sophia and Ayanna on the top bunk, and Ayanna is trying to braid Sophia's hair. And Sophia's like, no, you can't do it that way. And there's a little bit of a back and forth. And Ayanna kind of gets upset with the fact that Sophia is not allowing her to braid her hair like she wants to, saying that she's going to make it look good, don't worry. And Sophia gets upset and like, no, you're not listening to me. Like, don't do it that way. So they get into a little bit of an altercation, but Ayanna leaves. She goes to vent with Janelle. So she's venting to Janelle about the situation with Sophia, and Sophia's like blowing this all out of proportion. And then Sophia goes crying to Jonna, being like, when I was coming to America from Haiti, they braided my hair that way, and I went through a lot of bullying over my hair, and so I didn't want them to braid that way. And so this is where she was coming. She was saying that she was triggered by this moment where it took her back to 30 plus years ago when she was younger, where she had a really negative experience with her hair being braided a particular way. So what do you think about, just like, as much as you can touch on this altercation?
I mean, like, did she share that with anyone initially, or like it was just kind of,
Sorry, say again?
I said, did she share that with anyone initially, or was it just after the fact, after it became a thing?
Well, Ayanna kind of just like, she left before she could even explain herself. She's just like, no, like, don't do it like this. And then like they got into this like bicker, and she's like, no, it's like triggering. I think she did say it was triggering for her. Right. I do feel like it was an opportunity for Ayanna to be like, whoa, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that at all. Like, let me step in and like have a conversation about this. I didn't mean to make you feel a certain type of way or uncomfortable or trigger you at all. Like, that's what I would have expected from Ayanna, especially since at least Sophia was talking about being such close friends and happy to be playing this game with her friend. And so I was surprised that Ayanna didn't even go back and just kind of check on her, see how she's feeling, and kind of let her have an opportunity to, tell her what was going on and why she reacted that way.
Yeah, I think, ultimately it's like you can't read someone's mind, but if they had expressed the reason, and listen, it's your hair or whatever, it's if you're uncomfortable about a situation, you don't want something happening or doing, I mean, that's absolutely valid. It's, you don't have to to participate in something. So, but at the same time, you can't expect people to know unless you tell them. So the fact that, it was mentioned and it was said, yeah.
And it's just, I mean, if I did something, say, to you, and you really got upset, and maybe I walked away because I didn't know what was going on, I would go back and check on you as my friend and be like, okay, what happened there? I feel like I'm missing something. And like, I had to have a conversation. So there is no conversation that ever happens between the two of them at this point. So that was a little bit surprising. So put a pin in that. Okay, Jonathan? We then get a fun Tina moment. Actually happened beforehand, but Tina decides to come to the challenge with a bunch of tricks. And this time she gives Ryan a pair of shorts to go swimming in. So she's like, oh, you can keep them whenever I had extras. You can keep these shorts, whatever.
Are they the dissolvable?
Yes,
So
they are
stitch dissolved.
dissolvable.
Okay.
Yes. And
Amazing.
so he goes into the water and he comes out. He's like, oh my gosh. And then everybody's laughing and he took it very well. I know it's a lot of people probably in the main season would be like, this is unacceptable. But they were just like, he was so lighthearted about it. And she's like, yeah, they're dissolvable. But like beforehand though, she's totally like, I can't believe those were so expensive. Like, what'd you do? And like kind of playing it up a little bit. But eventually she did let him know, like, yes, they're dissolvable. And they gave him another pair of shorts before he came out of the water.
That's a little risky because you could, I actually don't know how much that exposes if they just completely fall apart or what the situation is, if they leave
it fell apart.
Privacy patch of sorts. But something like that could, I think, potentially get you kicked out if you do it to the wrong person and they're,
it's like a bullying thing as opposed to like a prank.
Right. So you have to be careful. I don't know that I would risk that if I was going there. It's like, unless it was a good friend of mine that I, knew would be okay with it or yeah.
Well, no matter what, I love the fact that she's coming to this season looking for ways to like bring some entertainment. I like that that's what her MO was, not to be mean or hurtful or bullying. I think like she gave it to the perfect person that was going to find it funny, lighthearted, and it played very well. And it was a funny moment. It was cute.
Listen, if you want to be asked back to these things, you need to be entertaining.
So we do get a moment where we see Jodi and Jasmine talking about their dysfunctional family. And this is one of the things that I love about the challenge, like All Stars, is that it is kind of like a family. That's why I've always really watched it season after season, because yeah, they are this dysfunctional family that has history, but they all still like kind of love each other, but then they have beef, but they've all really gone through this similar bizarre experience of the challenge and, road rules, real world. So have you ever had any similar experiences to this kind of like, we're stuck in here, we're family, but like dysfunctional?
Oh my gosh. Like dysfunctional is where I was raised, but, yeah, and anything, any kind of moments in history that you share with anyone, you're going to develop that kind of kinship. So it's nice to see, especially because they're all, old school, and it's kind of, they have this shared experience that not many do. Like, there's a couple. How many people have been on? A couple hundred people.
Few hundred, yeah.
In the world. So yeah.
Yeah, I like having that conversation. And I've always wanted to be part of that dysfunctional family. That's probably why I'm a fan. That's probably why I'm a fan of All Stars, is because when I was at my peak of loving the season, like I wanted to be on Road Rules. I told you that I've auditioned for Road Rules before. And
yeah, but you want to be a part, like you would be on the show now if you could?
I would do it now too. I told you my idea, right? I wanted them to be like the aged meat. So like we'd go as, instead of fresh meat, it would be aged meat that came on as like a newbie season of fans. But we're older, we're aged, we're more refined.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to be on the show.
I think I still do.
And I do wonder how mentally tough it is, because these people do it year after year after year, some of them. And so I wonder how taxing.
Sorry, Sophie doesn't like my name. So Fanta and Michelle don't like that name either, but I think it's hilarious. Finally really, aged meat.
It really draws a picture in your head, so it really paints aged meat.
I think it's funny.
It's like aged meat. Aged meat.
So when Braidgate happens, and then we see Ayanna complaining to Janelle, Sophia explaining the bullying thing to Jonna, and Jonna is really consoling Sophia. And we're seeing really how nurturing Jodi is, that she did kind of build a little bit of a bond with Sophia, enough for that Sophia is like crying in Jodi's arms. What do you think about where Jodi is positioned this season?
Ooh, I feel like it's a different edit than I've seen from her before, which is kind of just, I've never been excited about her in the past, and I always feel like she's gonna fall somewhere in the middle. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I think well, they had a loss in the first episode, but they're the second episode, I guess. But I definitely think she has potential to do well. So prove me wrong, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe she'll do great.
Well, just to bring you up to speed for season 1, she did come in 3rd place. Her and Kellyanne tied for 3rd. The winner was Yes, which you might not remember him. 2nd place was Darrell, and Kellyanne and herself were 3rd.
Yeah. Okay. I knew who was first and second, but yeah. Okay.
So she actually did really well last season, and she wasn't in as good a physical shape as she is now, because she was only 7 months after she had given birth to her child, and so she still had a lot of like weight from carrying the baby. So she's a lot trimmer this season so far. Anyways,
I think you can tell that she just has it together and is less kind of just happy to be there, more like I've come to like win.
So I'm sure that you're a big fan of the daily challenges. And so this one, they basically had to choose their own team. So they're just standing in a big group, you know how they usually do when they're talking to TJ, and they have to choose their teams. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be running in pairs to get these giant, super heavy puzzle pieces, come back and do the puzzle. So if you saw the puzzle from this most recent, the challenge regular season, those similar kind of Tetris puzzle pieces. And then they had to do like a main board. And then once they do that and they finish it, then they can go and get puzzle pieces from the water, where they had to swim out, grab these gigantic puzzle pieces, and then go back and do the second part of the puzzle. So you're sounding like you're loving it. Tell me what your overall thoughts of what you're imagining for this.
I mean,
daily.
well, because I like the physical mixed with the puzzles. We know this. It's a nice balance so that someone just who has the physical doesn't just run away with it. It's like, so you have to go get them. If you're not great at that, then they'll slow you down. But you have to be able to do puzzles too. So I love the oversized puzzle pieces that they have to put together. So, and it sounds good. I mean, that sounds great. And you said it was a schoolyard pick? Like they picked their own team?
It wasn't schoolyard. It was like basically they were standing, they're like, this is our team, and like this is our team. So it kind of was a little bit like luck of the draw who you were standing beside, because one team was stacked. So one team, which was the black team, was Tina, Darrell, Janelle, Nehemiah, Melinda, Tyler, Jasmine, Latarian, Katie, Derrick, and Brad. Okay, that was the one team.
That's the stack team.
That's the stack team. Yeah, and then the green team, so that was the black team. The green team is Ayanna, Ryan, Kahada, Sophia, Steve, Kendal, Teck, Jodi, MJ, Casey, and Jonna. So it's not a bad team, but compared to the powerhouses they had on the other team, like it's just a little bit, they have a little bit more workhorses on that side.
Yeah. And some of the guys are a little smaller, thinner on the one side.
Exactly. Like Ryan and Kahada are both known to be a little bit smaller than, we'll say, the MJs of it. Oh, well, MJ's on that team, but the Darrells of it all. So they had to choose now who is going to be the captain. So the team captains, they're going to either be safe, and they're going to be choosing the 4 people that are going to be up for deliberation, or they're going to go straight into elimination. So a male and a female from each team had to choose to step up. So for the black team, it was Tina and Darrell that decided to be the team captain. Okay. And then for the green team, Ayanna decided to step up as team captain because she has the life shield. So if they were to lose, it wouldn't matter. She would be able to save herself and she wouldn't be at risk of going into elimination. Smart. And then Ryan wanted to, actually, I don't even know if she stepped up. I think they ended up picking a numbers for the women, but it ended up being Ayanna and she was fine with it in the end. But Ryan decided to step up and say, like, I have to just step up and say, like, I want to do this and hope that we can win, as opposed to like having someone else choose his fate. So it's going to be Ayanna and Ryan that are going to be the team captains for the green team. Now, Ayanna, I think with the fact that she won that elimination so like she blew it out of the water, and that she has the life shield, she was definitely high on her own supply, because she was giving them a pep talk and like not letting anybody else speak and telling everybody how they're going to do this challenge. And she was saying some good points, being like, we don't want to be arguing if somebody is trying to do something. Don't spend your energy telling them what they're doing is wrong. Yes, but like how she was doing it was so condescending and not letting anybody speak. Go ahead.
How was it received by them? Like, were they like, this is not okay?
In confessional, people were like, well, we kind of need to know what we need to do here, not just like what not to do. And people were kind of like, they didn't feel like they had any direction. They had like, oh, don't do this if you're in this situation. But there wasn't any sort of leadership in a way of how are we going to execute this super quickly compared. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, which team were you rooting for off the bat? Like, was there someone that you were like,
I'm always rooting for Tina. I want Tina to, I just want to see more of her. I want to see her do well. I don't want to see her have to go into elimination, because if you go into elimination, you have a chance of going home. So I wanted her to win, and I wanted that team to win as well. I was rooting for them. Because I was starting to be turned off by Ayanna as well, because I just didn't really like how she treated that situation with Sophia. I didn't like how she was handling her power in her group here. She wasn't really being a cohesive team member.
One win and then run away with like, I was on the Olympics. Like, I mean, it'd be different if it was, there was several wins and examples of your dominance, I would say, but it's literally just started. Calm down a little bit, but I still like her.
You didn't see the episode. You would feel a little bit differently, I think.
Don't. Oh my God. Did she ruin it for me? Does she ruin her image in my head?
Yeah. Well, this is how it is. Where it is, let me see exactly what is said. Oh, I'll tell you when we get to a certain part that will kind of make you understand a little bit more about why I'm feeling this way. So Dabu's talking about the fact that Kellyanne is going to be in All-Stars 3, which I'm excited about. Are you a fan of Kellyanne?
Conflicted. I there's moments where I'm like, she seems really like kick butt and just, I don't know. And then there's other moments where I think she's like playing with people's emotion. I don't know. I'm very conflicted about the whole thing.
Sabu also says that so is Wes. Not sure about Kahada. Kahada isn't on there. I can tell you what the list is in a second. Un momento. I do. Go ahead.
I like watching Wes.
I'm happy to see him on All Stars. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need him. Well, I'm over the main season. Obviously, I'm still gonna watch it. Obviously, I'm still gonna cover it. It is still one of my favorite shows, but I don't get as lit up and excited as I am watching this season as on the main season anymore. It just doesn't do it for me.
Because of the structure of it, or who's left?
Both.
Yeah.
I definitely do not like the fact that those teams are not even. Like, I don't care about Emerald winning its 5th daily. It's just not interesting to me. So yeah, that is how I'm feeling. What do you like the structure? Do you like the people?
It's just I mean, here's the thing. There is strategy involved because they were successfully able to select people and get people who weren't going to infiltrate them initially. And I think that kind of led to where they are now. So, I mean, yeah, there's strategy there, and other people were not being smart with their moves and whatnot. So, I mean, it doesn't excite me as much as All Stars does right now, but it's I don't know. It still has potential. I'm obviously gonna watch till the end.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the men that are gonna be on season 3 is Wes, Mark Long is back, Darrell, Brad, Derrick K, Tyler, Nehemiah, MJ, Jordan, Latarian, and Cyrus. So it's pretty actually stacked male side for sure.
Cyrus. When was the last time we saw Cyrus?
He was on season 1.
I need to go back and watch season 1.
He was on season 1. So is Beth, was also on season 1. So then for the women, we have Veronica. We have Tina again, Janae again, a woman that I don't remember who she is. Jemmy, Naya, another woman who I do not remember. Sylvia, Kayla. I don't know why Sylvia and Kayla are there. Kendal, Kellyanne, and Melinda.
Oh, you're looking at their pictures?
Yes.
I was like, why don't you just say their names if you don't remember? You're like, I don't remember them. I'm not going to say their name.
it's like this. So I'm like, I don't remember who she is,
Yeah.
but sorry. I didn't have all the information. Hi, Jelly Donut. Thank you for being here. Do you have any tea for us? We're doing a bit of a recap. Explain the episode to Jonathan.
New format. Okay.
I mean, it's actually, it's working better than I thought it was going to work. So it's not so bad. So within this whole, no surprise, like we kind of decided like the black team was doing well. It seemed at some point that maybe they weren't able to work together because, as Darrell says, there's too many loudmouths on his team. They have a loudmouth in Derrick, a loudmouth in Tina. There's somebody else that they panned to that was considered a loudmouth on their team. But I have to say that they did listen to Tina, because Tina was like, hey, we only need to have all the women go once, and then the guys can go back and forth as many times. So let's get the guys just to be the workhorses while we look at the puzzle and try to figure things out, which I think was very good strategy, that the women were able to not be puffing and puffing and be looking at these puzzle pieces and try to get it to fit. So what do you think about that strategy?
Yeah, I would think that's like kind of like I would think that both of them would have done that. So it's surprising to hear that like that was a strategy for one and perhaps not the other. I would have thought that they would have done that initially. Like that would have been the go-to.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I mean, it could have been, or it wasn't. It wasn't talked about. But Ayanna like did not set any strategy in motion whatsoever. She really just kind of rubbed people the wrong way, I'd have to say. So no surprise. Well, MG said that she's on a power trip. Okay, I wrote down, oh my god, Ayanna and her motivational speak. Eek. And it's because she's safe with that life shield. It was very, very unsavory. Absolutely. We hear the Venga Boys is playing. Do you remember this song?
The Venga Boys are, yeah. I mean, I was born in the 90s, according to some people.
So yeah, you were just a baby when that song was on. Little toddler. Then we see a shot of Jasmine complaining about Tina being a loudmouth, and saying like, "Was I like this when I was on like my seasons? Like, was I this much of a loudmouth? Because like I wouldn't have been able to be friends with me if that were the case."
Jasmine was the loudmouth of the season.
Yes.
Like, what are you talking about? You're like the full bullhorn and everything. Like, absolutely.
Like, I think that Jasmine was worse than Tina ever is. At least Tina is a little bit funnier sometimes. And Tina usually has just intention. I feel like Jasmine just yells to yell, or then at least then she did.
Yeah, I just have memories of her being really feisty. Yeah.
So it was really hot watching this challenge, like in American terms, like 90, 100 degrees. And I was worried the entire time that someone was going to pass out. We've seen in some of the previews that there's going to be some sort of medical evacuation or people having to get like oxygen or IV. And so I was actually getting worried for both of these teams. They keep on like doing these confession lines. It's so hot out. It's so hot out. How are you in the heat?
Okay, I shouldn't say this. This is terrible, and you're all going to judge me for it. But listen, my carbon footprint is small in every other aspect. Do I keep on the air conditioning on all year? Yes, I do. I do not like the heat. I like being cold. I would not do well.
It looked hot. People were just like, oh, sweating.
I'm one of those people that get nauseous when they get like even just a little bit overheated. So I would have tapped out. Like, I would have stayed in the water. I don't know.
So then we see Janae trying to communicate with Ayanna, and Ayanna's just like shutting her down, and Janae's like, okay, like she's like, and she just wants to win. And Jonna's a puzzle person. And so the fact that Ayanna's not listening to any of her suggestions or willing to have a conversation, they lose. Black, no surprise, wins. And Tina at this point is going to be happy that she stepped up because it keeps her safe. It allows her to make some decisions. And, her and Darrell will be able to work together to choose the 4 people that are going to be in the deliberation. So no surprise, but this turns out to be way different than I was expecting. So with the losing team, we know that Ryan is, as the team captain, is going to be going directly into the arena.
Yeah.
And now because Ayanna is automatically using her lifesaver on herself, TJ says that the losing team all need to choose who is going to be considered the loser, the losing, going into the arena. But then Miss Ayanna decides to say, I will take that responsibility and I will be the sole person that decides who is going to be going into the arena. And they give her that position and she goes, Sophia, you have, what did she say? Sophia, it's a gift. It's a gift. She literally
return to sender. I mean, what
yeah.
what is okay.
Right. She made the sole decision. She put in Sophia because she had a little bit of an argument with her that was a misunderstanding of where poor Sophia had something traumatic happen to her that Ayanna didn't understand about. And now, even though Sophia worked very hard in this challenge, she was not the weakest link in the challenge. She wasn't a layup at all, but it was a completely personal decision. And she sends her into the arena because of Braidgate.
I mean, is it smart to send her in there? Like, do you want someone gone who might come after you in the future because of the fact that you've upset them? I don't know, maybe, but just like, I don't know, that whole situation and interaction, like, wow.
And it was so bad. Well, Jasmine obviously being like, that's not a gift. That's not a gift. If you want a gift, you give someone like a croissant, or you give them, I don't know, she named a couple of things that would be a better gift than like going into the arena with a potential 50-50 shot of going home. And so she's complaining about that. TJ then asks why. And Ayanna doesn't really say anything. She just was like, oh, like I just made that decision. And in her confessional, Ayanna's like, yeah, I don't trust her. And she's already mad at me. So, but like, she wasn't actually mad at her. And if she just had a conversation, like Sophia's not, from what I know of her, a vindictive person that's going to come back to get her. Like, she would have been more than willing to make amends.
Yeah, I do understand, like, if you're blank slate with everyone and there's like even like a sliver of a reason, why someone may not like you or want to disadvantage you or throw you into something, I would go after that person too, because, if everyone's on a blank slate with them, then they'll pick you and send you home. So maybe, is it the smartest move? I mean, was it nice? No, but is it the smartest move for her, game?
Sophia was not going to be winning. Sophia was not going to be throwing in Ayanna. Sophia was wanting to make amends with her friend. I don't think that she was going to be vindictive. I think that it was, personally, I think it was just a power trip on Ayanna's part. And,
I mean, she could have just like,
and had a reason.
Yeah, not like was the sole decider of who it was going to be. She should have not, she was going to be safe, just leave it and figure it all out.
Let everybody else decide. You know what I mean? Maybe she would have stepped up and said like, hey, I want to go in. Like, I want to prove myself, whatever. But like the fact that she was like, oh, I want to be the sole decision maker. And like, then she just decides on someone that she had this little bit of beef with. Katie wasn't feeling it. She's like, in her confessional, she says, Ayanna went from being an honorable woman to just turning into an asshole. And that's like Katie coming here. And like, not that Katie is an asshole, but like Katie's has had many confrontations with a lot of people. And she didn't find this to be an honorable move, especially since she had this whole big glow up the episode before. And now she's not even like rising her friend, another, woman of color in the house with her, in the game with her, that they have a history from 20 years ago. Like, she's not willing to build her up. Instead, she decides to give her the gift of maybe going home. It didn't sit well with me. It left a bad taste in my mouth. So Dan says, I can't say I agree with Ayanna, but I understand. I mean, I understand, but I would never have made that move. My mouth was like, oh, that's so, it's not even, I don't even know if it was petty. Is that the word? Like, it was just so cruel. Like,
I
kick
mean,
someone when she was down.
I think it's petty. It's like, it's like, oh, you're causing me some grief, whatever. Well, here you go. It's kind of
You're going to make me feel bad about
vengeful.
something that I
Yeah.
was doing that was nice. Yeah, I guess. We have a friend here being Queen Ayanna. I mean, it was very entertaining. It was very shocking. And it's drama, and
It's
it's
I like cutthroat. I really do. I like when people can just be like, whatever. But in this situation, I don't think it was necessary. I think you could have stayed out of that drama, and I don't know how that's going to do you well in the long run. So.
Yeah, I agree with Dan here. Diana is very overzealous. I think that what I actually think that Ayanna is doing, I think that she is trying to make everybody afraid of her. So if people are afraid of having any confrontation with her, afraid of like saying the wrong thing to her, because if she gets power, she's very emotional and kind of irrational and just will throw people in without having a conversation. I think it's actually to teach people to avoid ruffling her feathers, and I think that that's how she will make it really far into the game, because everybody's going to be terrified of throwing her in and her coming back with a vengeance. So
You,
I think that she's teaching people to be scared
but
of
like
her.
on purpose, you think she has that forethought to plan that out, or is it kind of just
I
circumstantial
think
based on how she reacts?
she knows her personality type, and she's probably gotten away with being very kind of confrontational and having big
Right.
energy
Yeah.
and abrasive energy, you know what I mean? And so she's probably very familiar with how to get people to react to her in a certain way. So I don't know if she's completely calculated
Right.
with doing it in this way, but I think that this is a part of her natural way that she interacts with people when she feels that she needs to protect herself, right?
It's a valid strategy that has worked. So I mean, if that's what you want to do, and it's like people won't touch you because, like you said, it's too problematic, and they're like, let's stay away from that until we have to. And then sometimes when you have to, it's too late, and that person makes it to the end. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think that people are scared of her at this point. Definitely scared of her big time. So we get to the deliberation between Darrell and Tina, and they beforehand what had happened. So Darrell is saying that he's not going to allow anybody from his room to be going into the possible 4 people nominated. So in his room is MJ, Kahada, and Jonna, I believe. And so he tells all of them, he tells MJ, like, I'm gonna push for Steve to be somebody that's up for nomination. And like Steve will go out and go home. Like, he doesn't have that many connections. So don't worry. If your name is up there, like, know that Steve will be up there as well, so that like you'll be okay. So he kind of gives them this whole thing. And at this point, All Saints is playing. Like, do you know the All Saints song?
I do.
Sing it for me, baby.
I've done too much singing already, but All Saints is like one of my old school favorites. So yeah.
I used to love that song, Never Ever. So I was definitely like grooving to the music. Um, so we get to the Tina and Darrell deliberation, and Tina first presents the fact that she's like, I don't think that anybody from our team, the black team that won, should be kind of eligible for this elimination. So Darrell's like, I'm fine with that. That's cool. And then they're trying to decide how they pick the other players. So I thought it was a great way to do it. They're like, well, who are your non-negotiables? So they started back and forth being like, nope, okay, I'm going to take this person. I'm going to take this person. They were back and forth like guys, girls, who were their non-negotiables that they want to save from being up, and then they're going to be left with 4 people.
Like
But say again?
Like the circle, like where they're like, let's save these people, and then you end up with people that you don't really care about. But
Exactly.
gotcha.
So Tina takes off the board right away Steve. Uh-oh. And, we see Darrell taking a bunch of people off the board. She also takes Casey off the board. And in the end, it is MJ, Jodi, Jonna, and Teck are the 4 people that are left on the board. So MJ and Jonna are both people, and I think Teck was also might have been in his room. I can't remember, but like 2 people at least that he already promised that you're not going to, it won't be you, don't worry. And if it is you, at least Steve will be up there. No Steve in sight. So then he said it's basically his entire room. And so he's so upset. And then we see a replay of the drama. So do you remember the drama between Tina and Jodi from Battle of Good Guys, Bad Guys? What was it, Inferno?
Maybe not the specifics, but I definitely have clips in my head and images and whatnot. But yeah.
So they do a flashback. Tina thinks that Jodi was a little bit deceitful in one of her call-outs in an elimination or something like that. I can't remember specifically, but something to that effect.
Right.
So they showed us that drama back as to why Jodi is up there. So they have some sort of history, some sort of beef. They have been alluding to this a little bit already in the previous episodes. So Nehemiah comes down and they ask him, Nehemiah, do you want to choose to use your lifesaver? So Nehemiah decides to use his lifesaver on Teck and take Teck off the board because he felt bad for the fact that last season, so season 1, he actually called Teck down for the arena, and then Teck ended up going home. So it's like repay.
Okay.
So then they decide, because they had to replace Teck with either Kahada or Steve, and neither of them wanted to give up their person. So they're going to flip a coin, but then they end up just shuffling it, and Tina just grab a person who's going to be the final person up on the board, and it is Kahada. So the people that are up for deliberation is MJ, Jodi, Jonna, and Kahada. So MJ's like, okay, it's going to be the country boys this deliberation. And Darrell promised his whole room. MJ's like, why did you make that promise if you weren't going to be able to upkeep it? Like, it kind of put Darrell maybe in a bad light, being that oh, you let Tina, you weren't able to get your way at all with Tina. So I think that might have put Darrell in a little bit of a bad light, or a bad taste in some people's eyes, because he made some promises that he definitely didn't keep. We see some snippets of Sophia kind of walking around. It was very sad, and she was kind of crying, and someone was saying, poor Sophia, this is actually an end of a friendship. Just kind of while she's getting ready for the deliberation, she hugged somebody crying. Then they get to the deliberation. Who do you think is going to be the 2 people that are going to be going in against Ryan and Sophia?
I feel like last episode that I watched, it was a lot about Kahada as well. So I feel like he's in trouble sooner rather than later. I don't know. Who was it? Just tell me.
Well, so Sophia, she's kind of holding back tears a little bit and says, if I'm going to go out, and she's friends with Jonna, remember this. Jonna, she's been the person that she's been confiding in. She's like, if I'm going to go out, I want to go out against the best. So it would be an honor to go up against you, Jodi, because if I lose, that means that I can hold my head high. So people, for the most part, honored her, and Jonna got very few, maybe 2 or 3 votes. So Jodi versus Sophia going to be going down into the arena. And then obviously Ryan also wants someone of similar size. I believe MJ had already went up against Ryan 12 years ago and beat Ryan. Yeah. So Ryan was like, I'm a similar size and build to Kahada, so I'd rather go against Kahada. And that was who he wanted. And so Kahada is going to go down into the arena. So you kind of sussed Kahada out. But were you expecting it to be Jodi? episode 3?
No, absolutely not. Like that's a surprise. I would still think that I mean, I would think Jodi has it, and then I don't know. I would think Kahada has it, but at the same time, his edit last episode, I don't really know. I was like, I'm worried for him. So,
I love
um,
Kata. He's so cute.
but I would guess that maybe Ryan win. I mean, anyway, Tina.
So Sean says Tina coming into the conversation suggesting they do it at random was so disarming and wild. I know. I was just like, oh my God. They were just like, oh, let's just pick them out of a hat. Like it was just, and then Darrell's like, no, it can't be super random. It was very, very fun and wild because like any way that it landed with this season for me, it was going to be like, this is it's a big, big deal. So I thought it was fun. Hi, Harrison. So Harrison says, did they show to the audience that the cast was made aware that Nehemiah specifically saved Teck and that Kahada was put in as a result? They didn't make it clear. I think that all I heard them say on the episode was Nehemiah used the life shield because Nehemiah wasn't able to vote in that deliberation because of that. But they didn't in the episode, from what I saw, say what had happened. So who he saved and who was the replacement. So no, they did not make that clear. I didn't think so. I thought it was an odd choice. Odd choice. I thought that, which one? Which was the odd choice? Sorry, I'm behind on these comments. Sophia was self-sabotaging a bit. I think Ayanna really got to her. Yeah, she was very, very sad and kind of like, I guess I do have to like show, that I belong here, that I'm meant to be here. And she doesn't really need to do that. You were cast on the show. You don't need Ayanna to dictate when it's your time to step up and this is your gift. It's like, babe, like you the reason why you have this inflated ego is because you did the worst in a challenge. Okay, so it's like she needs to slow her roll, in my opinion. So yeah, we get the selection. Jodi has some confessionals saying like, or actually she says this to the group. She's like, I will remember who voted for me. I was like, yes, Jodi will remember who voted for her. Because at this
coming for you.
Yes, coming for her. But it's going to be an honorable loss. Everybody's crying when Sophia's saying that she wants to go up against Jodi. I think Jodi might have gotten a little bit teary-eyed, and we see Casey teary-eyed, and everybody's feeling all the feels with Sophia falling on her sword. So we do see Jodi complaining to Kendal about this move of Tina's and like how Tina and her have never really gotten along. And she's like, if I come back here, like she better watch out because I probably will win something else. I'll probably get some power and I will definitely not be saving Tina. So she's coming back with a vengeance if that's the case. What do you think? Who do you think is going to win between the battle of, Jodi versus Tina?
I can only go off of what I'd briefly seen, and I was just vibing Jodi. I just think Jodi has this energy this season. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I do feel like Jodi will be the one that takes out Tina. I do think that she'll prevail. I do agree.
Yeah.
And so tell me about this elimination that we have. Okay. So Jonathan, I feel like you are my friend that is the competition game master. And when they come down, they do the whole MMA style, like in arena number 1, like coming into, they have them coming in and have their face on like kind of like a in the hallway and coming out and run out to the big arena, and it looks completely empty. So I was like, Jodi could be in big trouble here with it being like some sort of pole wrestling, because it does seem as though Sophia is a lot bigger than Jodi. So I was getting a little bit worried here. And then so Ryan and Sophia come out, and then obviously we have Jodi and Kahada come out.
Mm-hmm.
To find out that they're playing tic-tac-toe, but instead of X's and O's, they're using balls that are what? on fire. So basically, they're running back and forth, grabbing a ball that's on fire, that's their particular color. So I can't remember what colors are, like blue and green, I think. And then go and put their ball on the board, best 2 out of 3. So how are you at tic-tac-toe?
Very good. There's if you're good at it as well, we will tie whatever you call that, where you just no one wins every time.
Stalemate?
Yeah, but because I am also that. But I grew up with, we had this old school like metal one with like actual metal tic-tac-toes, and since I was a little tiny child, and I used to play it daily. But I feel like anytime they put fire on anything, at least it was green fire, exactly. Fire on something, it means it's not really good. So they have to like jazz it up with like fire.
On
Green
fire! It's jazz hands of the challenge is putting it on fire. What it done, because I did find that for me last episode, I thought that was a great challenge. We both like when they have multiple elements. So we had the strength element, we had the endurance element, and we had the puzzle element, which makes it a very cohesive challenge that's very entertaining to watch, and it kind of levels the playing field. With tic-tac-toe, yes, they have to run, but basically if you get your ball into the center spot, chances are you're going to be able to win it. So
I mean, there's always people in this show that aren't the smartest, and so I don't know what their skill set is with tic-tac-toe. But at the same time, am I excited about tic-tac-toe? If someone on a piece of paper like, you know what, this challenge, we're doing tic-tac-toe, balls are on fire.
I'd be like,
absolutely not.
I'd be like, let's workshop this. like how could we make this better?
We'll revisit that and come up with some other things for now. But yeah, like I don't know how that kind of got approved. So I mean, you tell me, was it exhilarating? Was it exciting for you to watch?
No, I mean, okay. So what was exhilarating though? So I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be a pole wrestle, and I was like really worried. But now it's like just a speed thing for tic-tac-toe. I'm like definitely not that interested. But people were fucking up. People were messing up tic-tac-toe and doing things like not blocking when there's 2 in a row, like not blocking, like just not seeing it. And so the Kahada and versus Ryan, they go first, and Kahada wins the first time fair and square.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second round, Ryan messes up and doesn't put the fireball to block. And then so when Kahada went back the next time, he was easily able to win. It would have been being a stalemate if that hadn't have happened. So Ryan ended up losing 2-0 for fireball.
That's like Ryan's like should be happy when he comes to those things and gets that kind of a challenge. It's like, okay, this evens it out. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know. That's to be fair though. At the same time, it's stressful. These people are like, concerned about the position in the game. Maybe they're just completely mind goes blank perhaps, and they just don't realize what's in front of them. So I get that. I get it. And us watching it at home can easily say like, what are you doing? But I mean, it's just tic-tac-toe.
Yes, it was on the wall. If that makes it any more interesting. And like they would use like some After Effects where like they'd go like with like in green when you see like the line. It's like I could tell that there's 3 in a row here, but thank you for the additional effects here. And so we then get a confessional after with Kahada, and I don't think he was saying this as a pun. He's like, yeah, man, I was on fire tonight. And he didn't joke, completely deadpan. So I don't know if he made that pun on purpose or if he didn't notice that he made a full-on pun. But Ryan will be going home. Do you think the Kahada made that pun on purpose?
They either fed the line to him or it was completely by accident. I don't think that's Kahada. So
Dabu has a good point here. So what's this nonsense about being an honor to face Jodi? Madam, there's $500,000 on the line. Forget honor. Take the easy win. Absolutely. But Jonna is her friend, right? So she fell on her sword for her friend.
Yeah, like you said.
That's what I think.
I mean, get me on these challenges.
Jonathan,
None of us are friends.
you better fall on the sword for me.
I'm taking the money. I'm easy way out. Call me a snake, whatever you want to do. I'm going home with some money. That's what's gonna do. What you I don't know. I can appreciate respecting friendships and things like that, but I
For
wouldn't
that amount of money, though, I think that
I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be upset if it advances your game. If you make a silly move, get me out, and then don't win or go shortly thereafter, I'd probably be upset with you. But
yeah,
if it was the smart thing for you to do, I can't fault you for that. It's a lot of money, you know?
yeah. But it's like I wish it wasn't Jonna wasn't the other person because maybe she wouldn't have chosen Jodi and had a better shot.
Yeah.
So Sean says, I hope Survivor producers are not watching this season. I don't need them taking notes on this elimination for potential twists. What do you mean for potential twists? Hold on. Like tic-tac-toe as the twist? Tic-tac-toe sends you home. They wouldn't do that. It's not twisty enough. But I don't mind the twist of the lifesaver. That's fine. It works for the challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know. Survivor does have to stay away though from having any more bright ideas because they're throwing all their bright ideas into one season and it's really, really making it muddled up. So stay away. Ryan and Sophia are on Fanta's team. Yes, Dabu, I will read that out shortly. So the second round comes along. It's Sophia versus Jodi. Jodi pretty easily gets the first round. But Sophia was pretty fast. Like she wasn't a slow runner, but like she just missed the center spot at one point. And Jodi wins the first round. And then the second round, Sophia does it as well. She doesn't see that she needed to block either as at the top or the bottom. And then Jodi was able to win on her next turn. So both people lost by making an error playing tic-tac-toe, not for strategically being bad, which is unfortunate.
I have a question.
Okay.
Could this have been done in like a more exciting, let's say, Connect Four kind of like Connect Four to me is like the enhanced tic-tac-toe,
Yes.
where the overlooking can happen easier. There's more going on at once. So, but I mean, it tripped people up, so maybe they don't need it.
I mean, I think Connect Four would have been better because then it would have been a little more endurance. So you'd have to be running back and forth. Maybe there would be a climbing element that to put your, your piece into the slot if that's how it was set up.
Disc. Yeah.
A disc. So yeah, I think it would actually probably would have been better. Yes, everything is on fire. You are on fire. The disc is on fire. The stand is on fire. Around the arena, the ring around the fire. I think it would have been better because it would have been longer. It would have been, you'd have a second to look and like when you're running to see really what's your best move and then climbing up. Like, I think it would have been a better competition. So you should be on that production team.
Hire me. I'll be a creative producer. There you go.
So that's it for the episode. We have Jodi taking the win, coming back into the house with a lifesaver and some vengeance. And then we also have Kehoe coming back in. And Kehoe wasn't actually very upset. He knew that the house was probably honoring what Ryan more likely wanted, but it had nothing to do with him. So I don't think he's going to come back super angry. But Jodi, I think, is going to come back a little bit peeved.
Yeah. And okay, so I just felt like Jodi was going to win no matter what. But Kehoe, for me, he's either going to go soonish or do really well and make it right to the end. So I don't know. I'm getting a vibe.
Yeah, I don't know. The problem is because Kehoe is small that I feel like a lot of people would take a shot at him just because they think that they could maybe beat him. And so
maybe still go early with Kehoe, but who knows?
I'm trying to find our giraffe. So anyways, I remember off the top of my head. So this episode, Fanta has Ryan. Fanta also has Sophia, and she has Kehoe. So she got some points for Kehoe, but she did lose 2 players from her team, unfortunately.
Ooh.
So Fanta is down a couple of members.
Is that why Fanta's not here? Was she upset?
Well, they're Fanta and Michelle. They both work from like not at home, and so they both weren't able to get off work
Too
early
upset
enough.
to join us today. Okay,
Angry, upset,
they're
just
too
kind of like
upset.
Phil was so upset because he lost his last player. 500 grand can buy you new friends. Yeah, I mean that's true too. That's true too.
I mean, I could go home with 500 grand and just get new friends. I'm not buying anybody, so I'll keep that down
Yeah,
payment.
like you'd be in a whole new circle. You'd be hanging out with different people. Like you'd gain new friends that would just make you forget about Jonah. Okay, so Sean wants to know. I would be interested in seeing some sort of Jenga inspired challenge. I feel like they've done that before, like a giant Jenga. Am I making that up, or is that just on like Love Island?
Yeah, I feel like they haven't in this type of competitive show before that I can remember. But I mean, that'd be interesting if there's a way that can work. Yeah,
Giant Jenga and like have people like on like
because you ever play those ones that are like life size
yeah.
human? Yeah, and that's fun.
It's
Yeah,
very so I've played a few times. So when I was living in Montreal, there was a place called Gilton Company, and in like this back kind of room, it was like kind of like a cave. They'd have giant Jenga, and so like it gets really really high, and it gets quite intense. And when you're trying to push it out and like trying to pull it out, but it's super tall and they're really big, and you're in this kind of cave.
like,
When
yeah.
it falls, it's terrifying. Like you actually do scream. So that would be kind of fun if they brought Jenga into the challenge.
In Toronto, they have this. Uh, it's called well, it's like it's for charity, but it's this event that's like Amazing Race, and you run around the city doing things at checkpoints and whatnot. And so when I did that, they had at one checkpoint they had this giant Jenga thing that you had to win against someone else in order to like go and get your mark and then move on. So I did win it in the first go, but I haven't played it in a while. That was probably the last time since then. But that's a lot of fun. If you haven't done that, City Chase, you should.
I didn't know that you did that, Jonathan.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to and like was
yeah.
so jealous.
For charity, it's oh my gosh, so much fun. Yeah.
It's definitely if they bring that back in the next couple of years, I'll definitely want to run it. Want to run it together? You and JoJo?
You and
Your teams
JoJo
up
would
for it?
do well. You and JoJo would do well as a team because it's a duo team that you need. Yeah, yeah, you should do it.
We'll see.
Too early in the morning for me now.
Well, Jonathan, thank you for stepping in, even though you came in blind. I think you were
That was,
fabulous.
that was fun. That was fun for me. So I don't know. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Sophie, did he make the cut? I know that you were the most critical of him not have watched the episode. Sophie's like, what? You could have gotten Josh from Couch Potato Queens. I did ask Josh, but Josh was not available as well.
Sophie, it's me though. It's me.
Sophie just is a creature of habit. Hi, Sam. So I'm sad that there's no aftermath this season. Absolutely, me too. Now I'm wondering though if it's because Devin. So Devin, I don't know if you watched the aftermath for the regular season. She hosts it. So Devin dated Big Easy Devin. She's actually been frequently a co-host on the Wendy Williams show. So maybe her schedule doesn't allow for it anymore.
Yeah.
We don't.
Wendy, who knows what's happening with Wendy? So
Yeah, there's a lot of recounts of what's going on with Wendy. I don't know what's true and what's just rumor gossip, but maybe that's going to be a permanent position for Devin Simone. So that could be one of the reasons why she's not doing this show as well. Maybe she just doesn't have a time in her schedule. But I do miss it though. This is your aftermath. This is it. We're going to try to get you all the tea next time. I'll get more tea. Anyways, Jonathan, thank you for being here. Do you have any other final thoughts? Anything about this episode that you're unfamiliar with that you want some clarity around?
I think it's gonna be such a good season. I mean, we're already getting people who like want to come for people and like, I love it. And it seems like the challenges are really good too. So potentially, so even tic tac toe on fire, I'll forgive that.
Forgive it.
Yeah.
Yay. So thank you everybody here in the chat. We love having these conversations with you. You guys are always the best, always having the tea, knowing, watching the episodes and really, coming with some opinions. So thank you so much for being here. If you haven't done so already, please just do us a little favor and subscribe. We're just trying to build our people that love talking about The Challenge and other of our favorite reality TV shows. And if you're watching this video after the fact on replay, like it, that'd be great. But I also want to know, do you think that Jodi is going to be able to get Tina next episode? Like, is she going to get her karma right away? What are your thoughts on the Tina versus Jodi battle? All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Ciao. Bye.